going on? No David again today, but you got the dream team. Big Rob, Forrest. Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, well, you found us probably because the markets are dipping and you're looking for answers. You want to point the finger at Elon. Well, regardless, what we do here is we take old, boring, and stale information and we repackage it up in a fun and sexy way. And then Bitcoin has been actively shedding like my Siberian Husky I had grown up. And it is down to 25.9. Will we drop under 25,000? That is to be seen. We actually flash crashed down there for a very, very brief moment yesterday and then quickly popped back up. But before we get into the markets, which we do have Forrest with us as our co-host here, who part of Sistine Research, a savant in the charts. And let's go ahead and introduce our boy here. What's up, Forrest? Thanks for joining us, bro.
It's never a dull moment this week. This week feels like it's lasted a month. But yeah, doing well. Just trading the volatility pretty aggressively, and have had a good 24 hours on the charts. So yeah, we'll see how it goes from here.
Yeah, there's I know you got to love these times, even though it went to the downside. I know if you could choose, you'd rather have Bitcoin rip up to 35 or 37, but there is money to be made on both directions. So have you been making money, or did you get caught out of position? I'm just curious here. I just want to know, you in the profit or in the loss this week or last 2 days?
We're in the profit quite a bit. So yesterday caught Solana at $20 even, and just sold the bounce right away at like 21, but pretty high leverage trade. Pretty nice bounce there, and then shorted it this morning when the news came out that there was no news around Grayscale, and it's been tanking. So still in that short, taking about half of the profits out, but between those two trades alone, we are well in the profit.
All right. And then I want to know what the chat is doing with these big volatility swings. Are you bracing for impact? Are you preparing for the tornado hurricane that's coming to California, which is interesting? Or are you putting in some buy orders? Are you DCAing? I want to know, what are you guys doing? What projects are you looking at? Or what's your plan of action when you see big spill-offs like this? And put that in the chat. Also, we do have Ultimo Maya said, can we get an Ola from Forrest? I don't know. We haven't heard an Ola from you in a while. Can we get an Ola?
Ola!
Here it is. Worth about $1.99. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, also, if you are new here, say hello so we can drop an Ola back at you. We got Anton P., Water Wiggler Abuser, and Theo Rodriguez. To all of you. Hola! All right, so let's get right into our channel sponsor, first of all, which is Cam's Blue Wire Technology. So if you are looking for IT solutions in networking, particularly for your business, and you're looking to upgrade, perhaps, give Blue Wire Tech a call or visit their website. Link in the description below. Now, we always get into the memes and the Twitter funnies here, or X funnies. So, a lot of people have been buying Bitcoin lately, and with the price being on discount, or at least where it was a little over 24 hours ago. And so I got here, Reckle, just pull it up. I'm going to leave this. Jordan Peterson, if you know him, he's a professor, also a therapist. I don't know exact titles to him, but world-renowned speaker as well. So when my wife asked me if I bought more Bitcoin, there it is.
Well, the question, did that happen, begs the question, what do you mean by happen? Because when you are dealing with fundamental realities and you pose a question, you have to understand that the reality of the concepts of your question, when you're digging that deep, are just as questionable as what your question. Well, the question.
I feel like I have literally had this narrative multiple times. Maybe not on Bitcoin, but yeah, sometimes I'm like, well, look, this is what happened, right? So yeah, we were going there, and work called me, and yeah, so that's does your lady Forrest approve of all your Bitcoin transactions? You have to run it by her. Is it another anti-money laundering KYC before you pull the trigger? Do you have to get approval?
No.
Third-party authentication?
She lets me handle it. She, I give her a little portfolio update every now and again, but she understands there's volatility. And usually if I'm telling her that, hey, we're doing really well, that's the time I need to take some profits and sell.
Well,
nothing worse than saying, "Oh yeah, we're doing well," and then it nukes.
Well, how about this? When you sold the family car to buy more Bitcoin, there you go. So I'm not sure what you're riding around in style in, but well, bear market is bear market. So there you go. So now, here's an interesting.
What is that?
Interesting recipe
dish
from. Messed Up Foods meme here. Oreos with cheese. I've heard about putting butter in coffee. That's a thing. Never done it myself, but I could see that having some value. This, I see no value in this. Do you see any value in this, Rocco? Rocco?
Yeah, definitely. If Dave see this one, it's gonna order 3. It's gonna order double order on that.
Tox in the chat says Oreo burgers. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe a little bacon we get there, but
that's a blasphemy for me.
And then we have this is from Anthony Pompliano. This kid posts one of these fit checks almost every other day on other platforms, and so he's becoming an internet sensation. If you don't know who we're talking about, I'm just gonna go ahead and run this.
Oh my goodness! Look at me. Are you seeing me right now? Look around. Is there anyone more fire? Is there anyone more swag? No. I can already answer your question, because I'm the king of this. I came from the bottom, now we're here. Oh. But you wouldn't know nothing about that. Oh my.
They say a lot of swagger is strictly mindset, right? It's about how you carry yourself, your demeanor, your confidence. And, the man has no shortage of that. And, well, hey, he's got more subscribers and followers on social media than we do. So can't fault the dude, right? Is this first time you've seen this guy, Forrest?
I've seen a couple of those, just wild confidence there, but I love it. Maybe we got to do some fit checks or something. I need to up my swag.
I'm not even trying to clown the dude. He is wildly successful in social media and in YouTube, more so than we are. So if you sit here and poke fun at him, maybe you need to internalize that because he's doing something right. And then so that's gonna wrap it up for the funnies. But I want to get into a couple headline topics. One. If you didn't catch the news, I have a update. This is from James Seifert. He joined us a few times. He's one of the leading voices on all news ETF and what's pending with those. So his update. Unfortunately, today is not the day either. No decision on Ethereum or no decision on Grayscale and SEC government case for converting GBTC to Bitcoin ETF. And so this was touted as one of the biggest. This has been touted as one of the largest events that could immediately cause an ETF, right? Because if they convert their GBTC, or if they're forced to, or if the SEC is forced to allow it per the courts, then there's really no reason you wouldn't approve all of the other ones that have already applied. And so we've been on pins and needles looking for this, but apparently I had nothing burger today. So we'll keep you posted as soon as that changes. All right. So I want to get right into the markets, Bitcoin, and the reason is, well, hey, Bitcoin has shed off quite a lot lately. And so we went from damn near 30,000 down to 25. And so we're going to go take a look at that and get we got Bitcoin coming in at $25,939. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let me give a big shout out to our channel sponsor who brings our market updates to you. That's iTrust Capital. So if you're looking to lock up your Bitcoin, crypto, other assets in a 401k, Roth IRA, and pay your taxes up front, not later, and protect your retirement, or protect your crypto tax-free into retirement, look no further than iTrust Capital. We do have a link in the description below. And if you use our link, you get free money when you fund your account. So go check them out. Now, Bitcoin. So big drop, 25.9. As I mentioned yesterday, I don't think it's reflected here on this chart, but it did wick down to 24,000 for a couple minutes. And then just to show you the dramatic spill off here, 30,000, you see where we're going. And a lot of this is off of the news of Elon Musk selling, which we'll cover in a minute. But I know a lot of you are looking to know what's going on with the price. So we're gonna dig into the price first, and then we'll go into the causation afterwards. And I do wanna just you know what? I'll just send it over to you, Forrest. And what are the charts saying? What's going on with Bitcoin? And yeah, those that alpha,
Yeah,
brother.
absolutely. So yeah, for sure. Let's actually zoom out and let's start with just the daily here, right? So remember yesterday we kind of talked about, this was probably an hour or two before this really started nuking. This is as we were kind of passing through this trend line that we've been talking about for a while. Again, I'll be the first to tell you, I bought on this trend line, but again, I kept my stop loss in super tight and then ended up making a couple good trades later on. We're talking about not being afraid to flip your bias, right? Not being afraid to flip short and be risk off once we start taking out these key levels like this trend line that we've been holding, and the 21-week simple moving average, which we had previously been holding. Once we lose those two big support levels, it's market's in rough shape. Now, it's tough to predict. If in fact SpaceX, I think this has not been confirmed. If in fact SpaceX just market sold $300 million worth of Bitcoin, obviously that's difficult to predict ahead of time, and there's no telling how big of a nuke this was going to be. But at the end of the day, the signal to flip short, or the signal to at least move risk off and prepare for a large drawdown, or what could have just been kind of a slower bleed down than what we got, those signals were there, right? And that's what we're paying attention to. Now that the damage is largely done here, we're just looking at where are support and resistance clusters. So we fell down to around 24.2K actually on a lot of exchanges. We're on Binance here, but a lot of the wicks I know on Bybit came down into this region, which was the top of this kind of support and resistance cluster. It's going to be difficult to run some levels on various charts and generate new clusters because we're going to have some discrepancies. Now, I'm using Binance because it's one of the highest volume exchanges. We'll probably have to do some work and check out some other exchanges in the short term to reconcile where did the wick actually come down to. If we zoom in here to the 15-minute chart, though, you see once we lost this support cluster, it just completely nuked, fell down to 25.4 on Binance, 24 and change here on a couple of other exchanges, and then we got our dead cat bounce. So that's what this is, and we overshot this cluster here, consolidated on top of it, held resistance, and now we've just been playing around in the short-term time frames with 2606, so just above 26K. If I zoom into the 5-minute, you're going to see how we're actually interacting with that. This green level here, we initially held it as support a couple times, lost it. As soon as we held it as resistance, we crashed back down. We crashed down to this wick over here, which you can barely see. And we've since bounced, and we're trying to recover this level as well as this shorter term downtrend line. If we can recover this level, I'd be looking for a move back up to around 26.3, 26.5. right? If we fail this level, my target to actually look for a small trade, a small long trade, is to be bidding at 25.443, $25,450. That's your 4x short margin pressure level, and that's where we can really start to paint in this wick. Now, what I'm looking for on a shorter term time frame as I'm trading this, I'm happy if I can even just get one of these bounces, right? You could have used the same logic to bid this level, the last night, I believe this was, last night. No, on the 5-minute chart. This was just earlier today. On the 5-minute chart, it's hard to see what the daily split is. But you could have just thrown in a stop loss and gotten a really nice scalp there, a really nice bounce, and then just shorted this as resistance. Or you could technically be shorting it if we get resistance here. Now I'm just looking for a bid. I'll be happy with a scalp, and I know we could come lower. 24.4 is where that support really starts. And this is where you start getting more clusters of support, right? So for me, this would be more of your level to bid for a long-term buy, right? If you're just looking like, hey, Bitcoin's nuking, where's the dust going to settle? My initial bet is it'll probably find a bottom around 25.4, and if it doesn't, then we're looking at this cluster here, somewhere between high 23,000 or low 24,000. The other thing I just want to draw to people's attention here is when you see like a massive capitulation, sometimes, right, and this is the rare case, you get news that can just zip us right back up and you get a V-shaped recovery. I'm not certain that that's the case. This was the SVB collapse, and obviously that was very worrisome, but it got resolved, right? And once it was resolved, we ran it back, and we were already kind of in an uptrend. Other capitulation events, such as FTX or the initial, Celsius Voyager situation over here, our initial trip down to this level, right? You get that capitulation, you get your dead cat bounce, and then you got to come back and find a higher low, right? You got to come back and find a higher low, and that higher low can very frequently very close to the initial capitulation. Right here, you get your dead cat bounce. You find, you got to come back and test this region, right? So what I'm saying is it's going to be tough to tell because, we got some discrepancies on multiple different exchanges. Right now, our wick is somewhere between 25 and change here, 25.4, or on some exchanges, it's as low as 24,200. Right. So coming back to test this region, we're going to either be testing here, in my opinion. I think it's very likely that we come back to test around 25.4, or we come back to test, where essentially our wick would be on Bybit, for example. So be aware that I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I think we've gotten a little bit of a dead cat bounce here on the shorter term timeframes. And we're probably going to, bleed down until we find some support and find out where those buyers really are. And then those buyers may not jump in until 24. Yep.
On that chart and kind of on that narrative that you're discussing there, what stood out to me was that you're referencing, hey, this is a dip down that, hey, in all likelihood could break back up to the upside with some big news, perhaps ETF, for example. What I'm noticing is that, hey, this is probably more likely to happen in that direction because the overall trend is to the upside. And so when you gave the examples of, say, the FTX crash and other scenarios in the past, the trend was sliding down, and we were working our way towards the Bitcoin bottom in. I believe so, but either way, the overall markets were heading lower and lower. And I think the overall markets are heading higher. So I think the likelihood of a big news event just kind of springboarding us back up just makes sense. I don't know. I mean, you agree with that?
Yeah, I would generally agree. And the thing is, I'd keep an eye out on Tuesday for the potential Grayscale ETF decision or the Grayscale court decision. That could be a catalyst that springboards us back up to, maybe the 27, 28K region, if not back into our uptrend line, right? This was just a lot of this is probably us nuking the market, right? Which is a short-term event. Now, we've seen things like this in the past where we get this huge nuke and then we run it back, right? Everyone thinks it's over for Bitcoin and then we run it back. Even here, we got this big nuke and then we did consolidate for a long period of time and then we ran it back. Even over here, right? We nuked down and then we ran it back to our, our target support and resistance. So the cluster that I'd just be paying most attention to is this cluster, and then just pay attention to that news. The other thing is we've got RSI coming in at like historic lows on the 4 hour. So I don't think we've ever seen, even in the FTX collapse, we've never seen we've never seen 4 hour RSI this low. This is as low as it's ever been, which is a pretty decent buy signal. Like it's like going off of just that alone, how oversold Bitcoin actually is right now. We're likely to catch some sort of a bounce. The question is, are we going to get a new little low or kind of fill in this wick down to 24 and change? If you're just looking to bid, I think you're fine bidding here. I think you're fine bidding, waiting to 24K if you're not as excited to get in. The other thing to keep in mind is just keep an eye out on the 4 hour for bullish divergence, right? So there's an example of bullish divergence here where the price is making a lower low, right? But buyers are coming in on the 4 hour, right? So that's potentially what we would get if we took one last dive to 24K. My bet would be a lot of buyers would be very interested in that 24K, right? And we would probably see something like this with our bullish divergence, and that would be your bottom signal. But yeah, I think just patience here, and in general, we're very oversold. So I don't see anything wrong with DCAing in here.
You had a tweet as well recently, and it was I'll just pull it up real quick. So yeah, the BTC dominance has been free falling in this crash. Do you want to expand on that, or is there anything that you're looking for when it comes to positioning yourself with this? Are you looking at alts, or is this something you expect BTC to rebound? You think BTC will outperform alts, or do you think this is more of a trend we might see a little bit more of here?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily something that's giving me a really strong signal. So the chart we're looking at now is, BTC dominance. And this, I've kind of had this mapped out for a while, especially once we put in some bearish divergence here and we held this prior low, right? I've kind of had this mapped out for a while where this just, turns into a retest. And this has been my target, like this zone, which was prior resistance, right? Prior resistance for Bitcoin dominance and consolidation. My expectation has been that Bitcoin is going to drop back into this region. Now, the way we're seeing it happen on the Bitcoin dominance chart is actually really strange because Bitcoin's nuking. My expectation normally, if we're going to see Bitcoin dominance move back down into this region, you would expect altcoins would just be outperforming Bitcoin to the upside, not outperforming in a capitulation event, which is very, very interesting. And I actually ran some some initial, very mild back tests. I will throw on the Bitcoin, BTC, USDT. We'll actually go to new price scale here. And we just threw on the Bitcoin chart, the dollar chart, and we'll go to logarithmic. And what we want to look for is just, when is the last time that Bitcoin dominance went down while Bitcoin was nuking, meaning people are selling their Bitcoin, but they're actually not selling altcoins that hard. And in all actuality, it was, the last time was kind of over here. Bitcoin dominance was tanking as we were kind of in that continuation bull flag back in March, right? Which was, your SVB collapse, right? So Bitcoin dominance was going down there, but altcoin dominance was going up, and people were still willing to hold on to their altcoins, and they didn't feel like they wanted to capitulate and sell. We also saw this in the last bear market where Bitcoin dominance was kind of trending downwards here as Bitcoin's price was trending down. Now, this ended up being a really weird spot because this was COVID, right? If we assume that we wouldn't have gotten a freak of nature pandemic, the bottom for Bitcoin would have very likely been here, right? We had seen this bear market rally. We had seen the full pullback. But interestingly, in this pullback, Bitcoin dominance was also decreasing, meaning Bitcoin was falling in price. The market was falling in price, but people were actually investing in alts. They're actually taking some altcoin positions with expectations of another bull market. And that's what I ultimately believe we may be seeing. I don't know how deep this pullback is going to go in Bitcoin dominance or in Bitcoin or the rest of the market. Like I said, 24K seems like a pretty reasonable place. But we're seeing Bitcoin pull back, but we're also seeing people taking some altcoin positions. people moving into Ethereum. Now, also the other thing going on here is we did get the Ethereum futures ETF headline, which has technically not been confirmed yet, but the speculation around a Ethereum ETF approval, which is obviously going to pull out a lot of money from Bitcoin and into Ethereum as people are kind of getting more bullish on ETH and a little maybe not less bullish on Bitcoin, but just wanting to play that narrative of an Ethereum futures ETF.
Now, one thing that was surprising is that we had the most liquidations since the FTX crash in the markets yesterday too. We have here, if you look here on the 24-hour, $980 million, basically $1 billion gone, liquidated in a span of 24 hours. And so a lot of people caught out of position. We're not expecting the market to turn as hard as it did. And a lot of this just came straight off of the news here that Elon Musk sold his Bitcoin. And so a little insight here. Now, this is per the Wall Street Journal, and it hasn't been verified by any other sources. And even the Wall Street Journal doesn't come out and clearly say, hey, they sold their Bitcoin. It's not a quoted source. They were going off of some profit and loss papers, or I'm not exactly sure which forms they were looking at. But anyways, on Thursday, Wall Street Journal reported that Elon Musk's SpaceX wrote down the value of Bitcoin holdings by $373 million in 2022 and 2021. And so if you think about this, this is not even this year. So if they did sell their Bitcoin, it was not sold to the public. It was more than likely sold over the counter. But this doesn't automatically mean that they sold all their Bitcoin. And so they can write down the value. And so, if you purchase an asset around a certain price and it drops in a certain price, here, I actually have an example. So there are a number of problems with the assessment beyond the basic one that correlation does not always equal causation. The biggest one lies with the quirky accounting rules surrounding crypto that requires companies to record losses and impairments, and this is called impairments in accounting. Now, when the token price falls, but that don't let them record a gain if the profits rise again. So if you take a loss and then all of a sudden the price rebounds, you're still writing off a loss. And so this is where you can get a situation where, hey, if Bitcoin went for let's just give an example that SpaceX had bought Bitcoin at, say, $30,000, right? And I think their average buy was somewhere between $23,000 and $35,000. Now, if they were to, on their accounting, they can write down the loss on their Bitcoin if the price is down to, what was the bottom was like 16,000 initially, or 18,000. And so you can write it down for that reason. So here's an example here on price. So if a firm holds one Bitcoin and the price drops from 30,000 to 25,000 on Monday, but then climbs to 35,000 on Tuesday, just 24 hours later, you must show losses of $5,000 on your balance sheet. And so they could have sold half of their stack, also wrote down losses because of a price drop, and still be holding Bitcoin. So it is not a foregone conclusion that they dumped all their Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, what would be the easiest way to show zero on your to write down your Bitcoin balance to zero? Well, if you sold it all, well, you write it down to zero. So that's also a no-brainer. So they could have sold it all. They could have not. Either way, what I'm saying is that we don't have enough information to make that assumption. And this is only one source, Wall Street Journal. So, they've gotten it wrong before. All right. So, do you have anything to add on this, Forrest, on Elon Musk? This isn't the first time that he's been brought front and center for causing a top. I mean, he literally calls the Doge top. I think the first Bitcoin top because we had a double top in 2021. I think the first one was when Tesla stopped taking Bitcoin. Are you surprised that we went from 29 or 30,000 down to 25 off of the Elon news? Like, when is the markets gonna finally just brush this guy aside and be like, okay, or is he just the richest man in the world, so it doesn't really matter?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there was speculation yesterday that the actual dump was the, like, he was actually in the, like, they were selling it over the last couple weeks and into yesterday, and that's what caused the liquidation. I'm not sure. If he didn't sell, if SpaceX didn't sell any Bitcoin, you would hope that the guy would come out and just be like, hey, we didn't sell any Bitcoin, by now. Which he hasn't. So I don't know. Maybe he can't comment on it because it's, it's a private company, or he doesn't want to comment on it. Not sure what to believe there, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Well, the Wall Street Journal says they wrote these down in 2022, 2021. So if we're going to at least go off of those loose facts, he wasn't dumping on the market, but we know how Twitter gets, or X, and we understand how social media gets, especially when it comes to Elon and any moves. So I think a lot of narratives are just thrown out there and made up on the fly, and people just ran with it, all right, so I do want to just kind of go over the broader markets, because in thinking about, like, hey, why is Bitcoin dumping? Well, maybe it has something to do with what's going on overseas. Remember, Bitcoin is traded internationally. It's not a U.S. product, for those of you that think that everything is born here in the U.S. and only transacts here. But there are other factors globally. And, well, China, second largest economy, neck and neck with the U.S., actually, they are they're having some real estate issues. So I want to go ahead and just get right into it. We got China's property giant Evergrande files for bankruptcy protection in Manhattan court. If you remember, back in 2021, even in early 2022, you had this default on debt by Evergrande. They were talking about it being a giant bubble and likening it to the 2008 financial crash here in the United States, which was all kickstarted by the housing market. And so let's just get into this here. We have China's heavily indebted property giant Evergrande Group on Thursday filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy in U.S. court. In filing with the Manhattan Bankruptcy Court, the company referenced restructuring proceedings in Hong Kong, the Cayman Islands, and British Virgin Islands. The world's most indebted property developer defaulted in 2021 and announced offshore debt restructuring programming in March. They were supposed to fix their debt. Well, now they're bankrupt. Anyways, trading on Evergrande shares have been suspended since March of 2022. And then also China's massive real estate sector has been a long, vital engine of growth for the world's second largest economy, and accounts for as much as 30% of the country's GDP. So, heavily reliant on retail. Now, this, I don't want to say isn't a surprise. We've been preparing for fallout on this for a while. So I do think that a lot of companies have de-risked from their position with Evergrande. At least a lot of US-based companies have already taken their leverage out of the crosshairs, put it that way, especially since they defaulted on their debt initially, or stopped making payments on their debt. And so with that said, a lot of this collateral damage or burn has already been felt. You could even attribute that to some of the downward movement in the overall markets. Because, hey, that was right around the time that the S&P 500 was at the top. So maybe this has already been accounted for. But what hasn't been accounted for is what else is going on in China. So China's heading for another real estate crisis, but on a whole nother scale. This is per Yahoo Finance. And expanding on this here, you have, let me close that, make this a little larger. All right, so we got Country Garden, a massive Chinese property developer, missed interest payments on $2 bonds this week. Usually, companies pay their bond payments. That's like the most important bill for companies, especially large companies, especially ones in real estate. That's like paying the mortgage, right? So they missed the bond payments. Now on Tuesday, Country Garden, the country's biggest private sector developer by sales, missed interest payments on two U.S. dollar denominated bonds. The company now has a 30-day grace period to avoid an official default. Now, Christy Hung, a Bloomberg intelligence analyst, wrote, any default would impact China's housing market more than Evergrande's collapse, as Country Garden has 4 times as many projects. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to get into the numbers. This article has a wealth of, how much money they owe, the impact it would have on the markets. But just to give you a short summary here, it's not good. Evergrande was touted as potential to collapse the whole global market. And, Country Garden has more properties, they just missed a couple payments. Forrest, what do you think about all this? I know this is a lot of parallels that we drew to 2008 on the housing market. Do you think that this could cause a contagion effect? Or what do you think this could do to the markets, crypto or traditional?
Yeah, so first of all, I mean, I think Country Garden sounds like an amazing buffet. Like, I'm so hungry right now thinking about going to Country Garden and hitting the buffet. But jokes aside,
it does sound like a buffet,
this,
man. I'm telling you,
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
All you can eat debt. That's right.
Yeah, you can eat debt. Yeah. I mean, jokes aside, it's not good when these things happen, right? You know, it's like, it's hard to imagine a scenario where, they go bankrupt, fail to pay their debts. They're 4 times larger than Evergrande, and the market rips upwards because of it. The only way that's really going to happen is if we, somehow it causes the United States to print more money and inflate more. And that's not a good thing either. And I just don't think that's on the table right now with, inflation being at around like 2.5%, or above 2%, so to speak. I know there's some differing numbers there, but yeah, I mean, it's not good. It's not a good situation. It's potentially an opportunity, right? If this thing nukes the market, then you probably want to have some stable coins on the side for crypto, some cash fiat on the side for stocks and equities, and maybe some gold on the side just in case things get crazy. Gold and Bitcoin.
If it does nuke the market, as you said, you're referencing Bitcoin. What I immediately thinks what pops in my head is, hey, if it nukes the market, well, there's a lot of leverage in the market, at least here in the States. And here we go. We have the average household debt in credit card is nearly $8,000. Borrowing has gotten out of control. So this is pretty interesting here. Now, the average auto car loan now is over $800, by the way, in case you're wondering. And here it is. So the average new car payment is $800 a month. And we have a household credit card debt of $8,000. Borrowing's gotten out of control. Now think about it this way. If you got $8,000 in credit card debt, average per household, but the average household has less than $500 in savings. Yeah, mathematically doesn't make much sense. I'll just leave it there. And then let's get into crypto. London-based credit card processing company Checkout.com or Checkout.com terminated its contract with Binance on August 17th due to AML and compliance concerns. In recent months, the Checkout has processed $300 to $400 million worth of Binance transactions. Binance says, hey, they disagree with Checkout's basis for terminating the contract. It's considering legal action. Good luck with that. Now, we're seeing that here in the States, on and off boards for our exchanges are drying up. And how do you get how do you provide banking services to get money into an exchange and off? And so that has been under attack. Binance has been under attack, and it looks like the on and off ramps are also under attack for Binance, even on the international level. I don't really have anything else to mention on this. I just want to kind of point that out. Now, I want to get into our next talking point here, and it's MasterCard partners with Ripple Consensus to drive CBDC understanding. So they're trying to educate. So they're partnering with Ripple to let's educate on CBDCs, because Ripple has their hands in different CBDC projects, or at least they have they've worked with some nation states on CBDCs. So hey, there's not a lot of people with experience. So let's do some education on there. Now, global payment giant MasterCard has unveiled a new partner program to enhance understanding of the CBDCs. The partners in the inaugural cohort include Ripple, Consensus, Fluency, Endemia, Consult, and then you also got Fireblocks. And to continue this article, we have Jason McWaters, head of global regulatory advocacy at MasterCard, emphasizes the pressing questions central banks must address while considering CBDCs. This accompanies the private sector's role in the CBDC's insurance, security, privacy, and the interoperability with existing payment mechanisms. It's worth mentioning that one of MasterCard's partners, Ripple, has already ventured into CBDCs development in various countries. Ripple has collaborated with Colombia, Hong Kong, and a host of others as well to launch government-issued stablecoins. Very interesting. And so CBDCs are coming. I don't think they are quite ready here or even wanted in the United States. I do think that they're going to come eventually. I think that what we're going to get is a hybrid version here in the States. And then slowly but surely, they'll just turn on every single feature in these alternatives. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got a CBDC. I don't think they're going to just announce to the public, guys, we got a CBDC coming. But I think what we're going to get is some dressed up products that are similar that slowly convert over to CBDC here in the States. With that said, I do think that some broader education, because us in the crypto space, well, we talk about CBDCs all the time as they are in their technology at a base layer similar to blockchain crypto tokens. And so we can relate and we can easily identify what a CBDC could be, the potential benefits. There are some, yes, I know. But also the potential vulnerabilities that they also cause. But I think that the majority of the world has no idea what's coming with CBDCs, and especially all the countries that were listed there that already have them. We're starting to see this social control that you get in China. Hey, you're driving too fast down the freeway. We recorded your license plate. You took a ding, and you got to pay a ticket, and we deducted it from your bank account automatically, all via the CBDC. And so that's kind of where we're at now. What do you think about this? Do you find any bullish narrative on education for CBDCs, Forrest, or do you think that this is some kind of window dressing for a CBDC partnership? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, we're only going to see more and more of a push for this. There's certain companies that would benefit from it. I think it makes sense for MasterCard and a lot of payment processors to move into CBDCs if that's the what we're going to end up seeing, and that's the way the world is moving. Obviously, MasterCard and a lot of other payment processors want to take part in that trend and narrative, and be in control of it rather than be left behind on kind of their old technology. So no, I hate the idea of CBDCs. I don't want them, but I think they're unavoidable. I just not not a big fan, but the powers that be want them. The powers that be want more control, and there's not a whole lot we can do to stop them, unfortunately. I'll resist as much as possible. I don't plan on ever using a CBDC. We'll see if they make it tough enough on the average person to not use one, but I'll be using every other alternative.
What if they go the Bukele route? What if they go the El Salvador route and they just set you up an account and they airdrop you some cash? Because that it was kind of genius for what El Salvador did, right? They gave every citizen, I think it was $40 or $80 in Bitcoin. I don't remember the exact amount, but they gave everybody, you're a Salvadorian, you got an account, you got some free Bitcoin here. And so there's a lot of people that were forced to use it just because they got some free money. Now, in this same situation, is it that unlikely? I mean, it was only a little over a year and a half ago where we got airdrops of money into our bank accounts. I don't think it's that far-fetched to see another global catastrophe happen or some kind of financial situation where, hey, we'll give you $2,000, but you have to activate this CBDC account to access that funds, and then you got to keep a balance of some amount there, whatever their criteria is. Would you ever find yourself playing in those games just for a quick payout for us?
No, not like for me. I'm in a fortunate enough position financially that it just sounds like they want to implant a chip in my palm or my forehead or something. Just like, no, I mean, for $2,000, no, I'm not gonna sign up and give them my information. Now, if they just airdropped it into my bank account and it went in there with the rest of my money, then sure. I mean, I'd always just in order to interact and to buy and sell stuff at the grocery store. Sure, they're just going to give me a check for that, or they're going to debit my account with that. That's fine. But if I've got to like sign up on the CBDC program or whatever blockchain that they want, make an account there, and they take all my information and KYC, and they want my fingerprints and my iris scans, then for $2,000,
I want to know, what is the chat thing? Chat. If the United States government, or if you're abroad, if you're your nation, if the government gave you $2,000 or equivalent to it in your own currency, and you had to KYC, whatever that means, for a CBDC and go through the whole process, would you open up an account with the Fed just to claim your free $2,000? I'm curious. Put a 1 in the chat if you would take that $2,000 and sign away whatever you have to sign away. Or would you put a 2 in the chat if you would, nah, I'm good, man. I don't want to touch that $2,000. I don't need it. I'd rather not participate in that network. I'm curious to see who would take the money. I honestly, I could use $2,000. So I don't even know if I could. I figured I already got my information. I'm not saying I would, but I'm also not immediately jumping out here and say I wouldn't. So I think I would give it some deep thought. I don't know. Now, moving on to our next topic of conversation here, we have Ultima Mayo is definitely saying no, by the way. Yeah, a lot of 2s. Crunk C is going to take that two racks. There you go. All right, so next topic of conversation. So I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, you had Base, the layer 2 launch on the Ethereum network. Similar to Optimism, Arbitrum, however, no token involved for this, and it's powering an ecosystem that Coinbase is building. NFTs, DeFi to come. I'm not exactly sure if they have DeFi. If they do, it's just not. I'm not aware of any of the big dApps yet. I'm sure they do, but anyways, let's get into what's going on with Coinbase, and we have Ethereum Layer 2 Base daily transactions pass Optimism and Arbitrum. And taking a look, the ETH Layer 2 network Base, incubated by the crypto exchange Coinbase, jumped past the dominant optimistic rollup scaling solution Arbitrum and Optimism this week in terms of average daily transactions. Base 7-day moving average daily transactions reached 610,000 just in one day on August 15th, compared to the 597,000 and 576,000 by the competitors. And this has been out for just a week, right? And crazy. Here's a little graph here. You can see the dominance on transactions, and then boom, here's the teal color. That is base. So a lot of people are comfortable using this. I'm very excited to see when this ecosystem is built out, and this is still new. People are just playing around with it. But when this ends up being, as I think that's the direction it's going, when it ends up being a go-to platform for your blockchain needs, the same way you're going to have, I can use Arbitrum, Optimism, use the base layer. Oh, hey, I can transact everything right here on Base. Now, Base also led to pair for the first 6 days following the launch by new daily unique addresses and profits. So not only was it just the daily transactions, but profits and addresses as well. And then, Forrest, I know when we first hopped on, we were discussing. You brought up transaction fees on Base. You said it got up to about $10, or do you want to inform us on what you were seeing?
Yeah, and I don't know the exact specifics if it was just what kind of transaction it was for, but yeah, someone paid 10, and then I think another person did something, some sort of complicated transaction or deployment of a smart contract that costed $20 for a transaction fee. Which, when you think layer twos, you're thinking a couple cents, to maybe $1. Kind of expensive. We'll see if it, continues to and obviously a lot of activity was going on the network yesterday, but you want to have low fees 24/7. You don't want to have those spikes in fees, even if there's, tons and tons of demand, because ultimately we think that this space is going to need more and more scalability, and there's going to be more and more transactions processed on that chain. You want to see those fees stay low. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, bullish on Coinbase overall, bullish on Base as a layer two. They have a huge customer base, no pun intended there, and I think they'll onboard a lot of users. If you look at Base TVL, it's like 160 million versus Binance Smart Chain, which is a very similar concept, basically a fork of Ethereum for Binance. And Binance Smart Chain has $2.8 billion total value locked. So yeah, I would expect, a lot of money to flow onto Base.
All right. Well, I want to progress this to the final talking point, and that is Stellar. And so before I get too far into the XLM token or Stellar, we did see a significant pullback. One of the biggest losers on the tokens for the last 24 hours in the coin market cap was XRP. So XRP slid down. I think at one point yesterday, I saw it down 17%. And right now it's down 12% on the 24 hours, 20% on the week. I didn't see anything that justified this other than it just ran pretty heavy during the news of the SEC and the court case and the summary judgment. So I think it's just prices just trying to find themselves. And so significant pullback, settled in right at that support level of 50 cents. But another token that moved similarly, but Stellar Lumens. So this is down 4%, not quite as much as XRP, at least in the 24 hours, but Stellar is down 15% on the week. Which is what we're talking about here. So Stellar breaks free and unleashes new open source disbursement platform. So the blockchain-based payments network, Stellar, has introduced an open source Stellar disbursement platform aimed at facilitating faster, cost-efficient, and transparent digital disbursement worldwide. Now, the platform enables individuals and organizations to execute bulk disbursements using digital assets for various purposes, including gig worker payments and digital aid delivery. Initially, this was deployed as digital aid in Ukraine, and Turkey Payment Solution is now open source and available for further development by anyone. It offers numerous applications, including supplier payments, payroll management, contractor payments, catering to diverse payment needs. And furthermore, the platform's seamless integration with Stellar Global Network of on and off ramps covering 180 countries, providing recipients with convenience and converting digital currency to cash very easily with the on and off board on ramps and off ramps. That's all I have here for that article. So you have more utility and functionality. What looks like something that was created to help Turkey and also to help Ukraine with some of their needs, because a lot of their banking services had shuttered, obviously, because of geopolitical and financial reasons. And steps in cryptocurrency, and this is what a lot of this is done for. But what we always assume with XRP and XLM and these style of cryptocurrencies is that it's a banker's coin, right? Well, hey, you know what? You can just skip all the banks, and then you can run all of your services, your payroll services, and all you really need is an on and off board or on and off ramp, and you can essentially just run an entire financial operation with smart contracts on an open source ledger that's transparent, that's borderless. I think this kind of scratches the surface of what is potential for some of these XRP and Stellar networks. I think that they're going to be a lot broader than, hey, it's cheaper and faster to move money internationally. I think you're going to get a whole suite of services. And I think that Stellar is right now gaining ground on XRP in some of the utility processes. Not to say that XRP sucks by any means, but I'm just saying that, hey, it's pretty big news for Stellar. What do you think about all this, Forrest? I haven't heard you talk much about XLM. I know you've shared your thoughts on XRP, but what do you think about this growing ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like mega bullish on XRP or XLM for whatever reason. I don't hold any, but the way I look at it, and maybe someone else is a more of an expert on those two technologies than I am, but it seems like a much needed upgrade to the current payments networks and systems out there. You talk about Visa taking a 1 to 3% fee on credit card transactions. You talk about the SWIFT system, and it can take, sending wire transfers. There's a $35 fee, and it can take time to arrive. And sending money across borders is very, very cumbersome and expensive. And it's just the payment systems are just not up to date in terms of their scalability or their speed. And ultimately, what I believe, Stellar Lumens and Ripple potentially do is just upgrade that to the current level of technology that we'd expect in that sector. So I've heard people talk about how they think XRP and Ripple will be used among banks and maybe some very, very large businesses where XLM may fit may have the target market of person to person payments, as well as smaller business and enterprises payments as well. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure.
All right. Well, I do want to give a little love to the chat here. If you're new, say hello so that way we can drop an hola back at you. We do have Michael William, Luke, Nick A, Mohammed A, Lisa A, and then Peter Post, RPM, Randy, and Rocky. So to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. And then how many likes did we get up to, Rocco, today? 131. We're going to set that club limit next week at 175. I think next week we can do it. Especially if we get a big rally in Bitcoin, maybe a retracement, get back up to 29,000. But the show is coming to an end, which means I got to give another channel sponsor shout out to Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Once again, internet and networking needs for your business, IT solutions. Look no further than Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Link in the description. And then I'll pass it over to you, Forrest. Anything you want to leave us with? What are you doing this weekend? What's going on? What are you doing? Saturday, Sunday.
Just catching Yeah, just catching up on housework and stuff. Just been so busy, glued to my computer for the last week. First, we had the D Gods and D Labs, collapse, which I was involved in and had to get money out of, and then the whole market nuked. So I've just been trading and moving money around and sitting in front of charts for a week. So I'm going to be taking it easy this weekend. I'm going to be chilling, cleaning up the house, getting some home projects done. If the market will cooperate.
Dude, I spent all day cleaning the house yesterday, and all I could think about was, you see, I attribute everything to crypto, and I was like, man, I'm telling you, Bitcoin gets to $500,000. I got it made full time. I'm just letting you know that right now, and you're not gonna be cleaning on the weekends. Yeah. I'm not gonna be cleaning on the weekends. We're gonna be made with maids, All right, so guys, big shout out to Forrest. If you're not following him, go check him out. Sistine Research. We do got a link to Forrest's social in the description as well. And well, look at that handsome man over there, Rocco, in the middle.
Which one? Me?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got a hat. What's it say on the top of that hat there? In and Out Crypto. That is our merch store as well. So go check out In and Out Crypto. You can get all this fly swag, just like that Ethereum shirt he has on. Also, we have of course, our Sin City crypto merch on there as well. And yeah, without further ado, we're going to hurricane this thing out of here because it's about to smash into California. And so, yeah, let's wrap this thing up. Rocco!
There we go. Friend and family, everybody, goodbye. Have a nice week.
Oh.
Ciao a tutti.
You're supposed to say familia.
Famiglia, ciao a tutti, grazie. Ci vediamo lunedì. Grazie, arrivederci.
Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.